Indicators are a fundamental aspect of cyber threat intelligence. You encounter indicators daily in your work and must know how to utilize them to achieve your intelligence requirements or investigate an incident. To help you with this, let me introduce you to the Indicator Lifecycle. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Adam and I teach everything about cyber threat intelligence. I have helped build CTI teams, refine processes and train clients. Indicators are the bread and butter of any cyber threat intelligence team and you come across them a lot. To help you use them better, let me share with you the Indicator Lifecycle, a model that empowers cybersecurity analysts to use indicators with a structured approach. Before we explore the indicator lifecycle, we first need to know what an indicator is. Indicators are data points you can observe in a log file, plus context. The data might be a domain name, and the context might be that that domain is related to a command and control server, or C2. However, an indicator does not necessarily need to be malicious. An indicator simply indicates something. An indicator could be the execution of a remote access tool like TeamViewer. This is not necessarily malicious in itself, but is something to investigate. If you know attackers are using this tool to maintain covert access, that this execution occurred outside of normal office hours, and that the tool was ran by a non-admin account, it may indicate it is malicious. Context matters. There are different categories that indicators can fall into. Threat intelligence vendors will use these categories when reporting on threats. You have atomic indicators. These are singular indicators that provide granular details about a specific thing. It could be an IP address that appears in a DNS log, the address you find in a phishing email, value on an endpoint machine. Next up, you have computed indicators. These are indicators derived or generated from the analysis or computation of raw data or atomic indicators. You can calculate a file's hash using a hashing algorithm and use that as an indicator. A more advanced indicator are tactics, techniques and procedures, or TTPs. These indicators are based on an attacker's actions. They are often referred to as behavioral indicators because they indicate how an adversary behaves during a cyber attack. You also have indicators of compromise, IOCs, and indicators of attack, IOAs, which are generic terms for any indicator that suggests malicious or suspicious activity has taken place. IOCs consist of atomic and computed indicators, while IOAs include an attacker's TTPs. Knowing the different types of indicators will help you use indicators more effectively, depending on your intelligence requirements. Some indicators are more valuable than others. The indicators you want to prioritize are called key indicators. These indicators remain consistent across intrusions, uniquely distinguish an attack campaign, distinguish a campaign from benign activity, and align to a phase of the cyber kill chain. A key indicator might be an email address, malware mutex, or a domain seen across multiple intrusions. You want to identify as many key indicators as possible during your threat intelligence work or intrusion analysis. This is because they allow you to track attack campaigns accurately. Having at least 2 key indicators for each stage of the attack kill chain allows you to group an intrusion into a campaign. From here, you can enrich your analysis with data you found when investigating similar intrusions and direct your investigation efforts to look at other possible IOCs. It is important to remember that just because an indicator is a key indicator for you, it might not be for others. Depending on their dataset and intrusion analysis, others may only come across your key indicator once or twice. Its relevance is trivial. Your intrusion data is the most valuable dataset you have because it is unique to you and holds information about who is actually attacking you specifically. Now you know what indicators are, let's look at their role in cyber threat intelligence. Indicators are the bread and butter of the cybersecurity industry. They pop up everywhere, from security operations and malware analysis to security engineering and vulnerability management. Defenders must know how to use indicators to fight back against malware effectively. However, before you can do that, you need to understand what indicators can be used for. Indicators will intertwine many security roles and get passed around like wings at a football night. It is helpful to know how security teams will use indicators so you can tailor your intelligence to their needs. Indicators are typically used in two main ways, for detection and for hunting. Perhaps the most obvious use case for indicators is threat detection. You learn about a malicious IP address, create an alert that triggers whenever one of your endpoint machines tries to connect to it, and then block any connection attempt. Simple. This is how antivirus solutions were used to block malware back in the 90s. Of course, that is not the greatest way to detect threats. Nowadays, you can use large language models, artificial intelligence, machine learning, user entity and behavior analytics, memory scanning, and various other technologies and techniques to create detections. However, when performing detection engineering and writing detection rules, you will return to the concept of writing detection rules that trigger based on an indicator, be it atomic, computational, or behavioral. Indicators can also be used to enrich existing detections with threat intelligence. You can correlate indicators together to provide an analyst with additional context about an alert. An alert triggers on a malicious domain name, and your detection automatically pulls in related malware samples, IP addresses, and URLs. This allows analysts to search for IOCs using this additional context during their investigation, leading us into threat hunting. Working in cybersecurity, you will come across hundreds of indicators daily. Should you write a detection rule for all of them? Of course not. You should write a detection rule for the key indicators, but use the rest like fishing bait. Attach an indicator to a threat hunting query, search all your systems for it, and throw it away when you are done. Indicators are a great starting point for finding suspicious activity to investigate quickly. Unfortunately, an adversary dictates the lifespan of an indicator and its usefulness. They can choose to change network infrastructure or recompile malware. Hence, phishing with atomic or computational indicators and targeting an adversary's behavior with detection rules is often the best approach. That brings us to the indicator lifecycle, a model for understanding how to use indicators in your day-to-day work. Like cyber threat intelligence, indicators also have a life cycle that you can follow to ensure you make the best use of them. The life cycle consists of three main stages. Stage 1, which is revealed, where you find an indicator. Stage 2 is mature. This is where you ready the indicator for threat detection or threat hunting, or choose another course of action. Stage 3 is utilized. You use the indicator, revealing other indicators and restarting the life cycle. The model combines people, processes, and technology, making it dynamic and applicable across many security operations. As a threat intelligence analyst, this model forms the basis of pivoting. It provides a structured approach to moving between data points, investigating an intrusion, and gathering evidence. When using the model, keep in mind that indicators beget indicators. If you start with a good indicator, you'll find more good indicators to pivot to. However, if you start with a bad indicator, this can lead down a slippery slope where you just find other bad indicators that curb your investigation. Ensure that indicators are relevant, from good sources, and meet your intelligence requirements. This is a pretty easy model to follow, but let's look at how you can move an indicator between each stage to get the most out of it. The first stage is to gather, examine, and operationalize the indicators. You can gather indicators from threat intelligence reports, feeds, and your own security tools or datasets. Once gathered, you examine the indicator to ensure it is legitimate, relevant to your threat model or intelligence requirements, and can be operationalized. A mature indicator is an indicator that is ready to be utilized by your security tools. Finally, operationalizing means translating that indicator into a form your security tools can use, such as a detection rule or threat hunting query. You typically have two ways of using an indicator based on the courses of action matrix. First is detect. where you identify an adversary's current activities by creating detection rules. Second is discover, where you identify an adversary's past activities that have gone undetected by running threat hunting queries. Which passive course of action you choose will depend on your intelligence requirements, tools, logging capabilities, and the type of indicator you are processing. You may be limited in how you utilize indicators based on these factors. The courses of action matrix is an intelligence-driven method for planning and keeping track of all the different defensive actions you can take to counter a cyber attack. Actions exist on a scale from passive countermeasures like detect and discover to active countermeasures like deceive and destroy. A courses of action matrix is something every security team should have visibility of so they can see who is doing what to defend against attacks. Utilizing an indicator will often generate new indicators that will kickstart the lifecycle again. This is known as pivoting. You start with one data point, search for it to provide more context, and then discover another one to investigate. Pivoting is a fundamental skill for any security analyst, but a downright way of life for threat intelligence analysts. Using an indicator during intrusion analysis will allow you to find other indicators and build a complete picture of the attack. At this point, it's important to remember that indicators lead to more indicators, good or bad. The best way to stay on track is to follow the life cycle, vet the indicators you come across, and use a structured analytical technique like the Cyber Kill Train, Diamond Model, or MITRE-ATT&CK framework to map out an intrusion. Indicators are great. They let you detect and discover things in your environment, move your investigation along by pivoting between them, and learn how an adversary achieves their strategic objectives. To maximize their benefit, you need to follow a structured approach, like the Indicator Lifecycle. Try using the lifecycle the next time you come across an IOC in a threat intelligence report. Stay tuned for more deep dives into CTI concepts and topics.